Hello, this is Daniel Dauphin with Dauphin Horsemanship, and welcome to my office on a afternoon when I got rained out. And I do go through the comments and things, and I read them plenty on YouTube. I respond to the good questions and so forth, most of them. One of the common questions that I get, just over and over, probably the most common question that I get, is on when it's time to change from this bit to another bit. Emails, Facebook, this question dominates all others. So I thought we would take a little time today and discuss that. Now, I'm not going to rehash the things that I have said in other videos. For the people that are faithfully watching all of every video, I don't want to be saying the same thing over and over again to you. But we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things I didn't say in those videos. So first of all, I'm not trying to pressure anybody to bump their horse up in bits and transition into a bridle or anything like that. If you're not showing in a breed show that's going to require you to show in a shank bit at age 6 and on, or anything like that, and you just want to trail ride your horse and he's safe and happy and you're happy in a snaffle bit, by all means keep him in a snaffle bit. I have quite a few horses around here that I use for lessons that are older horses, and they're experienced, and I can ride them in a bridle just fine, but 95% of the time they go in a snaffle bit because they have inexperienced riders on them. There is no shame in riding in a snaffle. I'm not trying to tell anybody that you're obligated to bump your horse up. I will say that at least within the Western world, if you ever try to sell your horse, let's say a customer of mine has asked me to consult to pick a horse out that they want to go do things with, and I'm looking at a 14-year-old that's still in a snaffle, that's not going to be a great point in your favor from my point of view. That's a horse that's going to require some training before those people can go show him. He's not ready to go. So I do think that keeping your horse in a snaffle indefinitely does do some harm, some devaluation to the horse as far as the market is concerned. But again, it's your horse. You can do with it as you want. Another main point that I really want to get across is that we want to graduate a horse through the bits. We do not want him to fail his way through the bits. So probably 75% of the time when I have people asking me, these are the issues I'm having with my horse, what do you think? Is it time to bump him up in bit? Probably 75% of the time my answer is no. You have more work to do before it's time to leave. One of the truly common just across the board experiences that I have with novice and amateur horse people that I work with is that y'all tend to not take those basic foundational exercises nearly far enough. Over and over again, I have clinics. I have 2 or 3 little exercises that I put everybody through to kind of see where they're at. The majority of people cannot walk their horse forward, count 7 steps, and make him stop on the 7th step. The majority of people can't trot a half decent circle. And these are very, very basic foundational things that a horse with 30 days of riding should be mastering. And the majority of you don't have simple things like that done. If you don't have simple things like that done, you're still in the handling stage. You should be in a snaffle bit. Trying to get into a bridle bit when your horse isn't really trained to your seat yet, and he needs to be handled that much, that's a losing battle. So I'll say comfortably 80% of the training that a horse is ever going to get with me and with most trainers is going to be done in a snaffle. And if we're talking about California horses, then that would apply to the hackamore as well. You're not really teaching a horse much new when you bump up to curb and leverage bits. You are simply refining things that he already knows and putting more responsibility in the horse's hands or hooves. So truly, you should graduate through the bits with success, not well, this one's not working anymore, so I need a new one. And then 3 months later, that one's not working anymore, and so I need a new one. And then this one isn't working, and now we're going to try a mechanical hackamore. That is poor horsemanship. Guaranteed that is not a problem with the horse. It's not a problem with the bridles. That's a problem, a short between the reins and the saddle, as we would say. And the majority of the times when I have people that are kind of looking for permission almost to jump bit and go to the next one, that's really what's going on. The people have not done their homework to the degree that they need to do their homework. There is not a single bit that's going to work for any horse. Bits are not a soulmate sort of a relationship. So I alluded to this earlier when I was talking about some of my more advanced horses that go in snaffles. A really advanced rider with good hands is going to be able to ride pretty much any horse with a much more severe bit than a more novice rider, and they're going to get away with it. The horse is not going to generally show signs of problem or whatever, because the advanced rider is communicating very effectively and very subtly through that more severe bit. So it wouldn't be like, I'll say Curly, my demonstration horse. My older son is getting to be a pretty decent little hand now, but when he was younger, I would not let him ride Curly in the same bridle bits that I ride Curly in. It's not fair to Curly. So I would put a much milder bit on for Wyatt, because he's going to go make mistakes with his hand. He's going to be too quick. And if I put a big honking bit in Curly's mouth for uber sensitivity, and then you have a kid with poor timing who's yanking on him, you know, that's not fair. So don't feel like this horse has this bit and that's the magical combination. It's more likely this person and this horse and this bit. But this other person on that horse may need a whole different style of bit entirely to kind of back off on that horse or sharpen him up. So very common for trainers. I know we're going to tune a horse in a certain bit, but the customer doesn't get to ride him in that bit. They're going to ride him in something else. Because they're not gonna, they're gonna scare the bejesus out of him if we let him ride him in this bit. That's not at all an uncommon thing, and it's a very legitimate thing. So don't fall into the trap that there is a bit for this horse. There may be, a bit that works best for you and this horse, but the bit is every bit as much affected by how you handle it as it is how the horse likes it, and so forth. That's not said the way that I want it. Hope you get the point there, though, that you are as big a part in that relationship as anything else. So certain bit, certain horse may work well with one person and may be terrible combination with another person. So just keep that in mind. The real question today is, am I wearing pants while shooting this video? There is no prize for first out of the snaffle. Okay? If you've been riding your horse for 4 or 5 months and you think it's time to leave the snaffle, I guarantee you there's plenty more that horse can learn. The best horseman in the world spend a minimum of 6 to 8 months in a snaffle. And no offense, but you're probably not anywhere near in that league. So there's no prize for first out of the snaffle. There's no prize for tallest port ridden today. It's not a competition as to who can hang the biggest chunk of iron in a horse's mouth and go run him down the fence and slide him. The right bit is always the bit that your horse likes. That's what it's about. And if there's been a constant theme to the bit videos that we have put out, I feel like they've been very successful, more successful than I would have dreamed when I was starting with them. But I do still think people sometimes miss the point. Again, it's all about your hands. You need to understand the mechanics of the bits, but mostly so that as you're riding this horse and you're constantly evaluating him and you're learning things about him, you learn that this horse requires a bit that has a fair bit of bar pressure, or this horse needs a bit with a lot of tongue relief, or this horse handles tongue pressure bits quite well. This horse may really get along with taller ported bits that have palate pressure but a low ported bit, and you just lose all the feel in the bridle. That's why I want to break those bits down for y'all, so that as you've tried these 4 bits on a horse, you know what they have in common, you know what they have different between them, and you can start to learn your horse's mouth and how he likes to be approached, where he likes the pressure to be, where he doesn't like the pressure to be. Some horses are just really tolerant and it doesn't matter what you put in their mouth. Some horses are extremely finicky, and you may try out 20 or 30 bits before you find one that he really is happy with. So that's really the point of those videos, is so that you're not randomly trying bits. There's kind of a method to the madness, and you are learning to isolate those pressure points and how these different bits apply to them. That's it. Those videos are mostly about keeping your horse happy and saving you time and money from just, you know, the shotgun approach. You throw a bunch of bits on the wall and hope one of them sticks. There should be a method to the madness and a reason why you think this horse is going to like or not like this next bit. The last thing that I'm going to say here is about the wrong bit. We did a video on correction bits, and I know that's one of those controversial topics, and a lot of people do misunderstand correction bits, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate right here. And I'm gonna tell you how they really are used a lot of times, and probably why they got that bad name and why a lot of people don't like them. Let's say that a trainer has got a show this weekend. This horse hadn't been ridden in a little while, or the non-pro has been riding him for a while, and now we kind of need to get him tuned back up and back on the straight and narrow. And you put a correction bit in his mouth and you kind of pull on him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. And while you're riding him in that bit and you're resensitizing him and you're being firm and putting some pretty narrow boundaries on him so he is just laser on where you want him to be, that horse is probably going to do some ugly things with his mouth throughout that process. Likewise, come Friday and you're heading to the show and you change and you put a bridle bit on him, now that horse is probably going to be just the sweetest gentleman, the most obedient and responsive and soft and easygoing guy, and you have a great show, and in his demeanor, his headset, everything about him is beautiful. Does that mean that the correction bit is the wrong bit because he kind of is ugly in it when you ride him in it? No. The correction bit may not be the bit you want to show him in, but it may well be the perfect bit to prepare him to be shown in. So I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal with these videos, and I've given you all these little tips about, you know, when the mouth seal is broken and all. I'm certainly not saying that I have godlike hands, and when I'm out there riding in my arena, that there's never a horse that gaps a mouth or has a foamy mouth day or that withdraws his tongue. Those things happen to me too. But I'm aware of when they're happening. I am generally pre-planning when I'm going to discipline a horse, so I know before I put my foot in the stirrup that this is going to be a day that I'm probably going to pull on this Palomino because of the last 3 days. I like to let things come to a head, kind of like a pimple. They get ripe and then you pop them. And so I fully expect when I am sensitizing a horse to a bridle, even if it's just a snaffle bit, that they're going to do some ugly stuff with their face. The whole point of that is the motivation, so that that horse learns to respond softly, so I don't have to go there anymore. It is coercion, any which way you want to cut it. And people that disagree with that, I'll say just routinely when they come and the bits are cruel and they cause pain and yada yada, and you need this bitless bridle and that bitless bridle. The level of performance that those people are getting out of or expecting of their horse is not in the same universe of what I am and people like me are. And that's the main difference. I'm not saying that you can't get a lot of sensitivity and things out of a horse with a hackamore, but if you're in the feeling sorry for him all of the time camp, you have just resigned yourself to a very low level of performance, and it's just that simple. And if you're good with that, I'm good with that. No skin off of my nose. But at the end of the day, I think a really trained horse that knows beyond any shadow of a doubt exactly what his job is and what his job isn't, and he's that true partner for you, you're never going to get there with that mindset of that lower level of performance, and your horse is never going to be as happy as mine is, because mine truly knows his place and that he is fulfilling it. The same with a trained dog. I think you'll never see a dog as happy as a border collie that's out there getting kicked by cattle, because that sucker knows that he's out there to do his job, and he does his job well. That couch potato that you've got has no such knowledge or confidence. So graduate through the bits. Don't fail your way through the bits. Nobody's rushing you to graduate quickly. There's no prize for first out of the snaffle. There's no prize for biggest hunk of metal in a horse's mouth ridden today. Go with what the horse likes. Go with what works well. If you're happy and he's happy, I'm happy. Alright, this is Daniel Dauphin with Dauphin Horsemanship. Hope that helps. Thank you much.